About 4 weeks away from one of the most consequential mayoral elections in recent memory.
Despite all we've achieved, I cannot continue my re-election campaign.
Last Sunday, Mayor Adams announced he's not seeking a second term. Now voters will decide who replaces him in City Hall come November, and the three leading candidates all gathered at the Apollo stages in Harlem last Monday, where they talked about top issues concerning Black women and their families.
And diversity, equity, and inclusion, it's not just of importance of our morals to stand up for that. It's also good for businesses across the city.
Democratic nominee Zohran Mamdani talked about DEI being under attack. And this.
You look at the lowest performing schools, they tend to be in the poor districts.
Right.
And that's actually where you need the most intensive, productive schools in those districts. And we have tolerated that situation for too long.
Yeah, independent candidate Andrew Cuomo shared his thoughts on mayoral control over city schools. And then Republican nominee Curtis Sliwa talked about the current state of jobs in the city.
I don't want to lie to you, but we're going to be short on jobs. Our economy is going to be on the precipice of having problems because of the cuts in the federal budget, the state budget. Tom DiNapoli said we have a $36 billion budget gap. And whoever the mayor is going to have to wrestle with that.
For the next month, we'll be changing our format and inviting mayoral candidates to discuss key issues from affordability to public safety. And Curtis Sliwa is leading us off. His pitch to voters happening now on In Focus. So let's begin today's conversation with Republican mayoral candidate Curtis Sliwa. Mr. Sliwa, good to see you again.
Oh, pleasure. After that night at the Apollo, Cheryl, you were asking tough questions.
Well, you know, and you answered the tough questions. We talked about the Apollo event, and you've been making the rounds all across the city. Let's start here. Your reaction to Mayor Adams dropping out of the election. And do you want his endorsement?
No, 1 down, 2 to go. No, I do not want that guy's endorsement. Let's face it. In 2021, I told everybody in the 2 debates I had against him, the election that I lost fair and square, that we would have chaos and he would be corrupt. Unfortunately, I was right. I didn't like what he did, this novella, this soap opera. I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out. Look, you're either in, you're out. It's not fair to the people who are supporting him. But now that he's out, stay out. And he sort of hinted, well, I might endorse Sliwa. Please, do me a favor. Don't endorse me. I'm an independent, autonomous Republican who is a populist running for mayor, who also is running on the independent line, first ever, protect the animals, no-kill shelters, and put animal abusers in jail. I don't want to be attached to the cronies, whether it is Eric Adams or in the case of the former governor, Andrew Cuomo.
Okay, so let's talk about the issues now. You say your biggest priority is public safety and failed leadership. Tell us more. How do you want to improve public safety in New York City? What's the plan?
We need at least 7,000 new cops because we're losing police by the month. They estimate 300 are retiring early or under normal circumstances or being recruited away. And we're not being able to fill the gap. So that we don't have patrol officers walking a beat. And I would reallocate the transit police to actually ride the moving subway cars, because that's where all the problems are. And I look at it as the perspective of my wife, who did my very first TV commercial, Cheryl. And by the way, it's the only time I never said anything in my life. I just stood by her, because she really represented women who are constantly being sexually harassed, perved on, constantly in fear of walking the streets. I don't think guys quite get that. And they are, remember, they are the #1 workers now. They run households in which they are single parents. They pay all the bills, raise the kids. And if you go to nightlife, many of them are owners, operators, managers, employees, and they can't keep taking yellow cabs, lifts, and Ubers in order to make ends meet. We got to protect women. I don't see any of the candidates talking about that at all.
That's interesting. And back to police, would you name a new police commissioner if elected, and who would it be?
Well, first off, I think Jessica Tisch did an amazing job just getting control of one police plaza. We had Eddie Caban, and then Jeffrey Madry was like Caligula, you know, the movie, round 2 on the 13th floor. So she has stabilized the department. I don't think her street smarts is where I would like it to be. But then again, as a manager, as an administrator, she's done a good job. If she were willing to serve, because remember, she has lots of options, I would love to have her on, if nothing more than have stability. And what I would do differently, she runs the police department. You run the police department, you're the police commissioner. If I have a problem with you, we meet behind closed doors. Nobody knows about it. If we can't get along, then we go in separate directions.
But to her point and Mayor Adams' point, NYPD stats show overall crime is down in the city about 7%. That's a good thing, right?
Cheryl Lewis, I'm the only candidate who's been in all 350 neighborhoods, whether they like me or they don't like me, and I've yet to run across one person who says, you know, Curtis, you got it all wrong. I feel so much safer. For instance, she likes to say how shootings are down. Do you realize, Sheriff, if I were to take a shot at you, let's say we were gangbangers, because we're now involved in gang wars because of the raise the age situation, which Cuomo is in favor of and Zoran Mandami. If I don't hit a human being, let's say I hit a tree, a bird, I blow out the back of a Toyota Corolla. You know that doesn't even go on the stats, even though shots were fired? I said, since when is that not a crime? And that's led to retaliatory shootings. We don't have enough transparency in the police department. You know that 90,000 packages a day is stolen? FedEx, Amazon, UPS, USPS. The mayor is at a press conference acknowledged that. You know how many arrests have been made of the porch pirates who follow the trucks and then they take all the packages? None. If you go to a police precinct and you want to report your package has been stolen, they say, we don't handle that. That's how you suppress the statistics. And let's face it, we live in a city where the only thing they lock up nowadays is toothpaste and not people, and the shoplifters have an easy pass in and out. They get arrested, turned loose. Arrested, turned loose, no cash bail. Thank you, Andrew Cuomo. Your no cash bail has destroyed the state, and you're not going to get a chance to destroy the city. Okay, we're going to take a break, and we're going to talk about affordability. That's another key issue that's on the minds of so many voters. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're talking to power brokers in the African-American community who helped organize the Apollo Theater Forum, which was centered on Black women and their families, why they say the stakes are higher than ever this election season. We'll be right back. All right, we're back now with Republican mayoral candidate Curtis Sliwa. Let's pivot to affordability. This crisis is devastating to so many families here in the city. They can't afford to put food on the table, and they are being priced out of New York City. If elected, Mr. Sliwa, what would you do about it? Deal first with what you can immediately address. We have 6,000 empty apartments in NYCHA. I keep asking the question because I'm in and out of, there's 335 developments. I've probably been in half of them. And I see all these empty apartments. Why are they empty? The mayor controls that. They haven't been rehabbed. Number two, we have these rent-regulated apartments that has become the vogue ever since Cuomo attacked Zoran Mandami and his wife for having one. There's 28,000 empty apartments that they're sitting on. The landlords are saying, our fear is when somebody doesn't pay the rent, we can't get rid of them. Sometimes 3, 4, 5 years. That has to be addressed. And then in the outer boroughs where you have a lot of residential homes, people who live on the property, they're not absentee landlords. You have 2, 3, 4 family homes in which if somebody dies or somebody moves to Florida, the owner-operators don't want to rent their apartments. Right. They'll take a loss. They'll pay more electricity rates, water, sewage, more property tax. Because, again, the tenant-landlord court does not work at all in favor of any of the landlords. We got to sort of balance that out. But that would open up 100,000 apartments. Right. Then we can talk about building affordable apartments. They won't be ready for another 5, 10 years. I'll probably be dead by then.
We hope you're not dead by then. Come on. So to your point, 1 in 3 New Yorkers spend more than half of their income on rent. Do you have a plan? Like, I heard everything you said, but do you have a plan in place, if elected, to actually increase affordable housing?
Yeah, well, actually, my wife straightened me out. She's a millennial, Nancy. She's an attorney. And she said, Curtis, for many of us, the millennials and Gen Zs, who obviously that's the support base for Zoran Mandami, they get hit with a crushing student loan at the beginning of the month. All of a sudden, they're making $155,000. You know, they did 4 years. They got their graduate degree. They're a CPA. They're a financial analyst. They're a lawyer. And they're still living in a dormitory in an apartment with, like, sharing it with 3 other roommates like they were in college. She goes, you're damn right. If I wasn't married to you, I'd be so angry because I couldn't afford my own house, my own car, my own apartment. And I understand that. And that's why that has to be addressed, in addition to the non-millennials and Gen Zers, the baby boomers and others who are in that same dilemma. But with all these fees and fines and taxes, it's the income tax also that takes so much away from people. That's the other reason they're fleeing, even when they have negotiable skills. We've got to bring it all down. Cut the budget. I'm the only mayoral candidate saying that. The Citizens Budget Commission has put out a report on that. And cut the taxes. Because if we don't cut the taxes, the business leaves, and that means jobs leave, and no employment opportunities.
Let's quickly touch on the immigration crisis. Migrants in this city are currently living in a state of absolute fear. They're being arrested, going to immigration court, following the rules. How would you address that if elected?
Well, at first, when they were revitalized ICE, Tom Homan and the president, they were directing them after the really bad people, the sex traffickers, the narco-terrorists.
But that's not what's happening.
Well, at first, and remember, people applauded. And then somebody imposed a quota. And as you know, just like with Stop and Frisk the last 4 years of Bloomberg, whenever you impose a quota, things go awry. The community turns against you. Somebody in Washington imposed the quota, 3,000 arrests a day. And so now ICE agents, some of whom I know, say, Curtis, I don't want to have to go to the court and grab somebody who actually has the paperwork because they came in the portal, they did it the right way, they're going to their immigration hearing. But they're forcing us to do it. And they're turning the public against ICE and the whole reason they exist. So I would confront the president, who obviously is the leader of my party, and I would say, Mr. President, this is having the reverse effect. Let's go after the criminals and let's leave the working people alone because you know what? They are essential workers. You start clearing them out of the backs of restaurants and the hospitality industry, the hotels, they're all going to close. Because let me tell you, I have 3 sons. You know, you gave your book to one of my sons.
I know.
You think any of my 3 sons are going to work those jobs or anybody else's? It's not happening. We have to figure out a way that they can stay or at least be able to work without having to hide in the shadows.
Okay. I want to give you a chance to directly address voters. You have 1 minute. Your final pitch to voters.
People know me. They've grown up with me. 46 years as leader of the Guardian Angels. And they know that I'm consistent and that I'm the true New Yorker running in this race. Born in New York City. They tried to kill me in New York City. I'll die in New York City, be buried in New York City. And my interest in protecting all the people, whether they're friends or foes. It's what I know how to do best. And you can't corrupt me. You can't buy me, lease me, sell me. City Hall will not be for sale. We can't go through this corruption any longer. People are losing faith in government. I think even if people disagree with me, Cheryl, one thing they know, he's a good guy, he has character, and he'll never take any money. He'll never pick our pockets. Okay. And if I die with that on my tombstone, I will have died a man of honor.
Okay, Curtis Sliwa, Republican mayoral candidate and cat lover.
Yes.
Appreciate your time today. Thank you for coming in. Info